I want to come to you first, Captain Thomas, because you have suggested, I read somewhere, that this is a deliberately created artificial crisis to force the DGCA to dilute the new FDTL rules, the flight duty time limitations that would provide certain relaxation for pilots between flights. Do you believe IndiGo misused this and blackmailed DGCA to once again relax the rules?
Absolutely, absolutely. Rajdeep, good evening. First of all, the pilots of our association and the other unions at large are of the opinion that the apology given is an apology of an apology. However, we are now deciding what is a bigger criminal act, that what IndiGo carried out or what the government of India carried out, because we had warned them well in advance. And we also object to the fact that these new FDTL norms are being bandied as the real reason for these delays. How come that same set of FDTL did not cause any delay in Akasa, did not cause any delay with Air India, which is equally as big, and how it just happened only with IndiGo? This has been a pressure tactic of many an airline. Whenever something doesn't go their way, they engineer this act. And sure enough, if you see, DGCA has not only rolled back the FDTL, they've completely removed the FDTL. Today, we don't know which FDTL we are following, because a violation of a rule that I don't know, how will you hold me accountable? And that we are still wondering which is a bigger criminal act, what was done by the airlines or what was done by the regulators.
So you are, just to tell our viewers, FDTL rules and why they matter. 48 consecutive hours of weekly rest for pilots. Night redefined as 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. Earlier it was 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. Maximum of 2 night landings per pilot. No more than 2 consecutive night duties, mandatory roster adjustments and quarterly fatigue reporting. So you're saying, Captain Thomas, all of this was known to IndiGo in advance and to other airlines, but IndiGo did not prepare in advance and thereby created this mess so that the DGCA would have no option but to relax the rules once again, because IndiGo has 66% market share and monopolizes it. Am I correct? A quick answer.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they have agreed to that on paper. They have given a statement that we've misinterpreted this, but we'd like to say that we'd informed them on the 24th of November, while we met the DGCA, that something like this is going to happen, because this is their bargaining chip. And we say that heads must roll, some kind of criminal activity must be dealt with exactly like that, as criminals are dealt with. And only then will will this action not repeat itself. Also like to tell you that every time there is an issue,
I'm going to flash that. The head, you're calling for criminal liability, you're calling for action.
Yes.
Right. You're saying that they are virtually... I take your point. Jitendra, Bhargava, I want you to respond to what you've heard from Captain Thomas. You cannot allow... It seems at the moment that there was either collusion or certainly that the DGCA and the Ministry of Civil Aviation was caught unawares, and IndiGo, according to Captain Thomas, knew about it, exploited the situation. They wanted these FDTL rules to be relaxed. The other view, of course, is that all of this was surely preventable. I mean, you've got a situation, this is unprecedented, of thousands of flights being cancelled.
Rajdeep, it's a criminal action the way they go ahead. Notwithstanding the successful 19 years of IndiGo, what has happened in the past 5 days is absolutely atrocious, can't be expected, is an ugly chapter in the history of Indian aviation now. What did happen? As you very rightly said, they command 2/3 of the market share in the domestic market. Every airline was given the new norms, the new FDTL thing, they should have followed it. But what they perhaps thought was that they will be able to manage DGCA to give them an extension. Question is, why were they over-optimistic? And why were they so confident that they will get it? Now, that's one. Number 2 point is, having known that the operations will be badly mauled, flight cancellation will take place, they did not come forth and said, this is a truncated, flight schedule. We are cancelling flights. Why make a passenger come to the airport and then realize that his flight has been cancelled? Now, when you look at it perspective, they have come forth now and now giving the reasons why we're looking and how long will it take. The question is, should they be allowed to go scot-free? We all know that IndiGo, when we buy tickets on IndiGo and cancel our ticket, they forfeit 90% of the fare. Aren't passengers deserving of compensation now, considering the fact that this crisis is of their own making? Simply can't agree that
So what should IndiGo have done, Mr. Bhargava? Well, you're saying
in such a manner.
no. What could or should IndiGo have done then? You're saying they should have forewarned passengers, or they should have gone to the DGCA much earlier, explained the situation, because other airlines, as Captain Thomas rightly puts, seem to have got their act together. So how should IndiGo have responded? Why do you say they are criminal? This is criminal negligence.
No, Rajdeep, once they knew that DGCA had turned down their request, they could not have mustered enough pilots to keep the operation going. There was a need for them to truncate the schedule and make it in public knowledge that these are the flights that we are not operating, number one. Number two, sought the help of other airlines and said, look, we are going to be, there's going to be mass-scale cancellation, come to our rescue. Like now, as your correspondent said, we are talking in terms of trains also being run so that the passengers can travel, etc. The mayhem at the airport has been unprecedented. And the CEO of IndiGo coming on the 5th day of the crisis and giving explanation is simply not acceptable. I have not seen in my 20 years of serving and 15 years post my retirement in the aviation industry.
Mr. Sivaraman, you've heard Jitendra Bhargava and Captain Thomas, and DGCA surely has a responsibility. There's a regulatory oversight. And as a regulatory oversight, DGCA should have got its act together. It's all very well suddenly for Minister Naidu to today come and say, no, we'll get everything together in 48 hours. All of this could have been eminently preventable if the DGCA should have either had a dialogue with IndiGo and ensured that this did not spiral into the kind of crisis that we've seen. Do you agree that DGCA has been caught on the wrong foot?
Yeah, the DGCA has been caught on the wrong foot. But before that, I would like to say that there is a board of directors for the IndiGo. And there are independent directors there. They are supposed to be the guardians of the stakeholders here, which are the passengers of the IndiGo. What were they doing? What was their responsibility? They should resign or they should be asked to quit. Number two, when these new FDTL were announced in the late 2023, it was clear that the airlines had to get themselves ready for implementing these new FDTL, which required a little bit of addition to the crew, which probably IndiGo did not bother to consider at all, because they were a monopolist and they thought they could get away with everything. And I would like to add another point. A few days ago, I was in Bangalore airport. And normally I see what is happening in the airport because I was the DGCA and Additional Secretary Civil Aviation for more than 3.5 years. In fact, the opening of the skies was done in my time. Yes. So I was looking at the airport and I found more than about 15 to 20 IndiGo aircraft just parked there without engines or the engines capped. These aircraft would have certainly had crew members. What were these crew members doing? What did the DGCA, the IndiGo company do with these crew members? They would have certainly added to the fleet. Thirdly and finally, the DGCA should have monitored what these airlines were doing in regard to the implementation of the new FDTL. Were they adding to the crew? Were they training more number of crew? Probably the DGCA slipped on this. So therefore, there is responsibility in all these people, including, I must say, the Pilot Association also. The Pilot Association also would have been watching that more crew required to implement the FDTL. Why didn't they also take it up at that time with the IndiGo airline board or with the DGCA? So all of these people had to share some responsibility in this case. Much worse, I would say, the DGCA had the fundamental responsibility of ensuring that their guidelines, the DGCA's guidelines, were properly implemented and preparations were on from 2023 onwards. All of them have failed.